All right, practice problem 5.2, millimeters, medium difficulty. We're doing lines, center lines, circles, extruded boss planes. Start the ribs inside the cylinder wall. We're going to look at the ribs both ways. So this is an assigned problem. And looking at, let's go back, looking at the isometric view, bottom middle of the part. So this time I will go into the to the top plane and draw it in that orientation. The new part millimeter, I'll pick up the top plane, and yeah, the icons look a little bit better. So first one I had the small, and then went to the medium. I think the large will probably be a little too much. So let's go ahead and open up a sketch. Can zoom out just or drag the feature tree bar over just a little bit so I can see all of the items. And for this, we're going to go with a center rectangle. Looking at the radiuses again, looks like the circles are at the center, so make sure that I have my geometry. So the downside to the corner to corner is that if I wanted to draw the first circle and mirror it, then that geometry can't really mirror across the angles. So if we went from midpoints, well, it doesn't really update. I have to escape out of it and go again. The other thing is once I put the radiuses, it'll probably bark both ways that there are midpoint relations or there's relations that are going to be maybe lost in the fillet, but I need those fillets to determine the location. So let's just escape and Control Z, and I'll go back and we were from midpoints. Why did it stay on the corners? Okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention or I clicked the wrong thing. All right, let's go to 132. And we're going 64. And if I go in and set the fillets, entity to fillet, and we have a radius of 6. And then there is the warning. And we go ahead with our fillet 6 and accept. All right, so as I was mentioning, if we wanted to mirror, this is going to be easier to mirror, but since we already have the center points, it's about as easy with 4 to go ahead and just draw the circles at the center point. Going to set those equal. I do want to revisit the mirror though, so going into the dimension and applying the diameter of 6. All right, so if you are going into the mirror entities, make sure after you pick the first two that you are going to mirror about, and then we'll mirror to those, to that geometry. All right, the center section then will have the two lines, or two circles, and I'm already thinking about the ribs. So we have 24 and 32. So it looks like I picked those in reverse, but it will update and give me the geometry. So let's go ahead and extrude. We'll pick our first geometry. The center lines decided they didn't want to participate, and it may be my infinite length, my favorite infinite length lines that participate more than not. The thickness then is 5, and we'll go ahead and accept. Expand out the features so that we can see the sketch. We're back into the extrude boss base. picking our region, and if I drag that up a little bit, I can make sure that I actually got the one I was looking for, and it has a height of 18. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. All right, so the rib is where we need the plane because it is coming off at an angle. It's 45 at 30 degrees. So I need something to generate that geometry with. So let's go with my first instinct is to just go ahead and show the temporary axis. So temporary axis is very handy in this case. So if I go front plane and control select, then go into the reference geometry plane, that would automatically populate the primary and the tertiary. If we just go into the plane, so first reference, second reference, third reference, we go front plane, and then the second reference, we can pick the line that will gray out some of these or add some of these as needed. And I want to see it at 30 degrees. And then tab or click in the work area. So that one would be acceptable considering that, you know, whichever one I thought I was going to draw, it gave me that one or that one. So one of those will get me there. And I think we will draw the first rib and then just go ahead and do the mirrors. All right, so plane one is highlighted. So if I go into the to the sketch, we're going to draw our geometry, and the recommendation that it is interior or inside the part just means that it has to overlap because of the curvature. Because this plane, if we were to just draw on that silhouette edge, it would leave a little bit of a gap and a little bit of a gap where it didn't fully intersect the part. All right, Control 8 to get back into the normal for the plane, and the rib from the center has 45. So that's interesting. Let's see if it will give me a projection. All right, so it doesn't look like it's going to give me a projection. So let's go ahead with the width is 9, but we need the 162. The edge, well, driven dimension, nope. Let's undo that. The normal 2, we should be able to project that edge into our sketch. So if I go between that one and that one, even though we're working at the angle, it is a valid piece of geometry to select. All right, so that being the case, I'm going to turn the temporary axis off. We've already got the plane. So it is interesting that they chose the center point to go to that edge, and I'm assuming it's linear. I'm probably assuming wrong. So let's see if we just go this way. Yeah, 45 looks okay. Yeah, that one's not in the angle. That is the detail view of the top, so that does make sense that it's linear. I'm trying to go from here up to here, but that doesn't seem to be the case. All right, so let's go ahead. We know that we have 8 millimeters. The other thing that we could do is just go ahead and attach it to the inside, but as I rotate this around, that's usually going to help me find that silhouette edge. So you can really see the silhouette edge here because the plane intersects at that point. And when I add the second dimension, let's just go like 2 millimeters. And so when I extrude boss base, we want to go mid-plane, so it is across that that geometry. Then we end up with our feature. So I wanted to stretch that out because I go back into that sketch. The other silhouette edge is going to be, as we search along, where the plane intersects on the other side. So just a quick note that the silhouette edges, where cylinders, where that geometry, that curvature intersects. And if this had come straight across, we'd have this little triangular fingernail shape that was left open. All right, so now we can go in and select the boss. This isn't really going to lend itself to a circular pattern, but will do pretty good with the mirror. So let's mirror across the front plane. One of the things they added that I haven't really tried is a secondary mirror. And so the secondary mirror would be the right plane, and it gives us the additional two geometries. So prior to them adding the secondary mirror face plane, we would have had to mirror one and then go back and select both of those features to mirror them the other way. All right, so let's go ahead and save. And this is P5-2. And our volume, and when we go to evaluate mass properties, 48,824. So with the rounding, 823.7, we have another good one. Okay, and optional then, I had mentioned that I wanted to revisit the rib. So if I select both of those and suppress, then they will act like they're not participating. Oh, my dynamics are not on, so let's go ahead and turn on the dynamic reference. So with the dynamic reference, if I were to suppress the mirror, then it is just by itself. It goes back to that one. But because of the dynamic, if I suppress the parent feature, it's also going to suppress the mirror. So if you're new to and just starting to use the suppression states, then you'll want to look at those dynamic references a little closer. All right. So for the rib, we only have to go to, and we're going to see if it takes care of the silhouette edge, but or the intersection. So 45, and we had the 162. Make sure that I'm picking that edge. All right, and then let's see, my icons are a little bit smaller, so we are looking for the rib, or my command manager a little bit smaller, so I'm adjusting to the size of the icons. So let's go ahead and see what this generates. So with the rib, then I drew this this line, and we have an extrusion direction. Well, there's nothing to make it go that way. All right. So if it was, coming towards me, perpendicular to the top plane or parallel to the top plane, there wouldn't be anything for it to intersect. But with it going that way, we can flip the material side. Again, nothing to go that way. If we go to one side, the other side, or the midplane, that gives us our geometry. All right, so it did extend it and find the geometry. So we don't get to do, or I don't get to do rib very much, or it doesn't seem like I do rib very much, but it is handy, and to a certain extent there are times where it doesn't have to fully complete. If you get enough of the geometry in it, it will look for the terminating solids to finish its geometry. So let's just run through the mirror one time, and you can choose which method you like better. So let's mirror that across the front plane, and then we'll mirror it across the right plane, and we'll end up with the same geometry. So just out of curiosity, we go back into the mass properties, 8823.7, same number, same geometry, just slightly different process.